he is born with some talent? You know, absolutely. Just such a strange way to look at things, you know. I think every skill in life you can develop. But not only that, but our species, what we learned yesterday, our species had to tell stories to survive. We know how to do this. You don't need to be born. I think there is one small thing that I like to add about this. I think the more curious you are in life, the better writer that you can be. Because I want to know more about your life, I can be a better interviewer. I want to know more about this, I can go and visit it and explain it. I think curiosity is something you can be born with. But the ability to write it is something we all share, you know. Does that make sense? All right, great. So that's kind of the end of the interview piece, and then we have like a few small things we want to do to wrap up.
So, when Michael and I were discussing what all to place into day 2, there were so many things that we had to leave out because there just wasn't enough time. But we don't want you to feel that we have left them out. So we have devised a worksheet which asks pertinent questions, which will hopefully guide you in the direction of what those things are. And what you need to do here is grab a partner, and there are 4 questions, and you just need to discuss them amongst yourself. That's done, right?
A new person.
A new person. Try to find a new person among this.
So what do you do? New person. I'll make sure you get it.
Sure.
This was the previous one. Right when you were from we did like this. These are some common pieces of advice that you hear about writing. All of them are wrong. So we just explain why.
These are wrong.
Yeah, we explain why. Yeah.
Hey.
So find one partner and please go through these questions. This is really just for thinking. You don't have to.
You don't need to really write. It's just
whatever you want to do.
There's no wrong or right.
Yes, there's no wrong or right.
Humanities. We could do it together.
The coming things.
Health could also be
Think about the relationship. adolescence teenager, right? Another is of course very old. But if we think about the relationship, the one is the grandfather, another is the grandson, right? So it is also from this diversity, the differences we can have.
Maybe respective of the life.
Yes.
Both sides.
Yes, that's true. The 80-year-old was once a 16-year-old as well. So that much we have experience.
He's looking for a child as he is a child.
So by looking at the relationship, we can connect to our first point.
There could be families.
Let's put the let's count out.
Maybe that the relationship.
Yeah, they could be family. They could easily be related. And my grandpa lives in Japan. My 80-year-old grandpa lives in Japan, and I'm 60-year-old. That's a possible family time.
Or maybe each one to the others. How this generation is this country. How about the youngest in Japan, or the oldest in how they live, how they think.
We can even take on travel to another country, right? Here, so we can buy and get this charge. So there are plenty of ways to make that happen. So what is something you have wanted to so that you sacrifice?
Postgraduate. I wanted, my dad died when I was 26. My father passed on. And at that time I was just getting ready to do my PhD. And I had to stop. I couldn't do it. I had younger ones. You know, when your parents are alive, you're not thinking how you're going to take care of someone because somebody's taking care of you. But now when the father passes on, you have to take care of your mother. So I would definitely. Yeah, and I have younger ones. So I have 4 younger ones. So you're not thinking, I want to go off to school now. So you're thinking, I should go and work. Yeah. So you just start working.
So you sacrifice your doctoral stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything you find beautiful? Something old.
Yeah.
Others they look at antique. Others they are saying rubbish thing, junk thing, but from your point of view, this is so they don't think about
I think so. Lots.
These are related. 16-year-old boy has interviewed an 8-year-old can ask this question.
Yeah, it's possible.
Can possible?
Very much like that.
Trying to not from his life experience. Because the 16-year-old boy is a emerging writer, trying to write his story. So that's why he interfered. What have you sacrificed in your life for something else? The second one. For example, she sacrificed her doctoral study, looking after the family, right?
My father becomes when I was 13 and 4 months.
I've been, okay, let's come back, everybody. I've been listening into some of your conversations, at least the ones in English, and you all were pretty close to the answer, I must say. But I'd love to discuss these with everybody, open it up to all of us, and ask you all, what do you think of the first question? How do you make a 16-year-old in Dubai and an 80-year-old in Japan connect with your story? Yeah?
My hero is a female.
Sorry?
My hero is a female
Okay.
main character because she could be the 16-year-old mother and the 80-year-old daughter.
Okay. So how does these themes connect with both these characters? Like both of these people? Like if a 16-year-old person in Dubai reads this story and an 80-year-old Japanese woman reads this story, how does it connect with both of them?
Here we can make
You all understood it differently.
Well, connected in my story, you mean, yeah?
Yeah, connect to the story, not to each other.
Care about the story. How do we get them to care about
So
the
when
story?
my hero is this female, and I write about how she was so kind and gentle with her son, I'm sure the 80-year-old man will remember how his daughter with his grandson was too kind for him.
I like that.
Yes?
I totally, or we totally understood it differently. We thought that how, in my story, how do I make a 16-year-old from Dubai connect with an 80-year-old in Dubai? And so in my story, what I did is this 16-year-old is doing research about some kind of acting, ancient acting, and through Facebook researches he finds this old man in Japan where he communicates with, and then finally they decide to meet up.
Brilliant.
Interesting. I like that.
Like, this goes back to saying that we are all born storytellers.
I think human beings have some common feelings and values that are embedded within us.
Correct.
So all people like bravery, they like honesty, they like core values within us.
Brilliant. So this is the only question really on the list that has an answer. The other ones are just fun for you to think about. But there is something called universal themes.
Yep.
Universal themes means this applies across time, across space, across age, and things like this. And this is what you're talking about right now, universal themes. You talked about bravery. This is a great one. Can anybody else think of any universal themes that, in other words, imagine if you're writing a story set in the year 10,000, right? If you first think about it, you think, but our world is so different from their world. There's nothing we have in common. Or do we? Actually, what connects you with them is something the character is going through that you're also going through. Can you be brave in the face of oppression or in the face of danger? What are some other universal themes?
Love.
So love is one of the biggest ones, one of the two biggest ones.
Believe humanity.
Belief.
Faith.
I think faith.
Ownership.
Believing in something you cannot see. Right? This is faith, right? What else?
Ownership.
Maybe. There's a few other huge ones. that
On
you
our
haven't mentioned.
table, we discussed the common ties of health, humanity,
Relationship.
relationship.
Yep, yep. There's one more.
Responsibility.
I can think of 3 huge ones that nobody's mentioned yet.
Family.
Okay, family is a good one. Everybody's gonna have a family. I'll give you one, loyalty. Loyalty and betrayal. This is huge, right? The flip side of the loyalty coin is betrayal. So these are universal themes. Loyalty, betrayal.
Livelihood.
There's one very closely related to that that's as big as love, which is survival.
Yeah,
Death, in other words, right?
yeah.
So this theme of grappling with the mystery of death. This is true across cultures, across time.
Freedom.
Yeah, freedom. And there's one that's related to this, which is injustice. The fight against injustice, about being wronged, you know. These are the things that connect all stories. So like, you have a 16-year-old, you say, well, how do I make a story of a 16-year-old in Dubai would be interested, and also an 80-year-old Japanese? These are the themes that you use. When you think about universal themes, it sounds like something for children, like write a story about the theme of Christmas, or write a story about the theme of swimming, or something like that. We probably got an assignment like that when we were 10 years old. But believe it or not, these themes still exist, except they're hidden in the story. We don't talk about the theme of the movie Casablanca, or the theme of the movie Avatar. But actually, all these things are at play, and that's why everybody can relate to the story, because it's touching on these things. If it wasn't for these things, then science fiction and fantasy couldn't exist, because these things are set in other times and other places. We don't know anything about those worlds, but they're still struggling with these things.
Yep.
Right?
Alright. So the second one was, what is something you've wanted so bad that you sacrificed or let go of something else for it?
Anybody want to share?
Does anybody want to share?
Sharing what?
The answer to this question too.
Yeah.
I know it's quite
On my-
personal, but
Okay, so I shared on my table how I lost my dad when I was 26, and I was just getting ready to go do my PhD then, and I had to cancel those plans and get into the workforce immediately, and I started working, and I haven't stopped working since.
wow.
So I never did go back to do my PhD. I had a sibling as young as 12 then, and she's grown now, she's working, she's a staff at KPMG, and
Wow.
I feel like she's my PhD.
That's awesome. She's your project, you know?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Awesome. So these choices that we make in our life is eventually in the story structure the critical choice that changes everything. And it is these choices that the character of your story usually has to make at that moment, to let go of something that they wanted to solve the problem, or forget the problem altogether and go after what they want, however they choose. Alright, question number 3. This is a fun one. Is there anything you find beautiful that others find ugly? Does anybody like to share this?
You know this animal, the skunk? You know this animal? I love this smell. I love, if they made perfume of this, I love this smell. I love it. So that's mine, you know.
His shape, but you go for him like this.
He sprays me, I say, please, please.
It's worse than you.
Anybody else?
Would anybody like to share?
Like sometimes when I go on trip abroad, and it's one of the Asian countries, for example, to the maybe villages or factories or this one, when I come back and I tell my colleagues, what did you do? What did you do? What did you do? And I make it sound very angry, and I find it so nice and colorful and
Absolutely.
yeah.
You know, I've been lucky enough to have gone to many very, very poor villages where nothing is clean and things like this. And there's so little money, but the first thing that they do, right, is they take whatever little money they have and go get you a treat or something like. I mean, there's nothing ugly about this scene. This is the most beautiful scene. You know? Yeah, it's the best.
I have a friend who really likes old people's wrinkled skin.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
wrinkled like 1,000 folds.
Yep.
Wrinkled skin.
Yeah.
She admires them.
You know what I know is the darker your skin as the less wrinkles you get. So yeah, you should bring her to this part of the world, the lighter part of the world.
Definitely.
Awesome. So question number 4 is again a fun one. What's something silly you've done?
I just told her. It always happens to me, but I remember once, when I was maybe 18 or so, I was looking. I've been wearing glasses all my life since I was in my 4th grade, and then I suddenly started looking for my glasses, and so were all my classmates and the teacher. Everybody were just searching, and I was saying, I'm sure I left it here. Who's doing a prank? And finally it was on my
God. That's amazing. You know why this question isn't here? I know it's a fun one, but there's actually an important reason. It's like, we've been treating storytelling for the past 2 days like a very serious science, and it is, but it's also fun. Like, you have to get in touch with your inner child, and you have to recognize that sometimes life makes no sense, and sometimes it's okay to be a little bit light inside your story and to have fun with the story. Yes, it is important. These stories are really important, but the way children look at things and to embrace the strangeness of life is also a really important attribute of a great story,
I think that is.
Can I ask a general question?
For any time.
Yeah, any tips and tricks behind how can a story or a movie makes you love the criminal character? How can they twist your mind? You know that he's a thief, and you are praying for him that the police will not catch him, although the police is a good man and this one. So what tricks?
So we have an entire whole workshop on character design, but I'll give you one little tip, is that there's something called a save the cat moment. Have you heard of this, save the cat moment?
I hate cats.
The idea behind it is that the save the cat moment means that the villain is on his way to do something bad. But as he's walking down the street, he sees like an old woman whose cat is in the tree. And he stops and he goes up and he takes the cat and he gives it to the woman. But what this shows you is that the heart is good inside, but the activities on the outside are bad. So a lot of movies and books these days will have
Play on.
Yes, will play on this. So they have the villain have a heart of gold, but be forced into a situation where they're doing things that they don't want to do. The biggest example of this is like Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is like he's selling drugs, but he doesn't want to, but he, so there's this back and forth. That's one of the ways they do it, is to show you the heart inside is good, but the activities are evil. One of the...
Joker and Thanos, the Avengers, also good examples of this.
Absolutely.
Robin Hood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost any villain that we can think of, and also the heroes have negative tendencies too. So the other way around.
Tony
One of
Stark.
the things we talk
Don't
about.
like Tony.
One of the things we talk about in our workshop is that the hero and the villain are very, very similar. So close to each other. They just have slightly different interpretations about what a peaceful world will look like. Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker are the same character, except one of them says, we have to embrace the entire universe. This is Darth Vader, yin and yang.
Yeah.
And Skywalker says, no, just one only, not the other one. In fact, Vader's point of view seems more reasonable, So there's so much similarities between them.
It's funny that you say that, because the earliest Superman comics that were out in 1940s, Superman is such a positive character that they had a little comic book on him going to save the cat for an old lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That the entire comic was him flying up to the tree and bringing the cat down for the old lady, and that is, I think, where the phrase comes from.
So we just wanted to tell you this one thing. You want to go through this, Akshay?
Oh yeah. So back in India and also a few other countries, we do these weekend workshops where it is 2 hour stretch, a good 6 to 7 hours long workshops on both days, where we cover all of this and a lot more. And then we also do a bit of a 1-day workshop where we handpick a few things which we feel would be necessary for the group and do those workshops. And these workshops we design specifically for NGOs and corporates, and they'll come and tell us their requirements, and we customize the workshop and handpick what we need and deliver those workshops along to the company. And also we do one-on-one consultations at any time. Both Michael and I do this.
But only in English.
I think you already got this yesterday.
So I do it in Hindi as well, back in India, but people do it in English. English is the better way.
So what we did here with you guys was maybe 25% of our normal workshop. So we cover a lot more things like characters, like publishing, like basically every topic that we talked about today. We just got a little bit into it, but we expanded out into a much longer unit.
15, 16 hours?
About that, about that. And we also do retreats. We were talking about this idea of we take a group of 10 writers and we go to a mountain in the Himalayas and we write for 3 days, things like this. So all kinds of different events that we design.
So to get aware of your classes, is there a site or something?
Yes, of course. Yep.
You said you will share your presentation with us, yeah?
Yep. Yes. Most of the slides, I'll make screenshots of them and send them along. So it's on our business cards, which are up here also, but the company is Tall Tales, yeah, .in.
Not long but tall ones. Not horizontal but vertical.
Talltales.in.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, in one of the recent meetings, similar workshops, but it was fully on communication, they were talking about common mistakes that someone writes a post for Facebook and duplicates the same text in Instagram and Twitter and other places. Obviously in Twitter he would write some part and he would comment his own post by continuing the text that he wanted to share.
Right.
And they were saying that this is one of the biggest mistakes to do. So storytelling in general, what we have, it's not only about writing books, but also writing in the mass media, right? The social media.
Yeah, but this is the problem. I know you didn't come to day one, but one of the things that we talked about in day one is that a story is something different than a brief message. So yes, you are right that these things, you probably shouldn't repeat them, but the word story is really overused quite a bit. And some people think that captions to a photo are essentially a story. I wouldn't agree with that.
But would you agree with the long reads, what they call? In the first book, they can upload like a text of a whole chapter or half a book.
To me, if it's a story, if it follows the science of the story that we talked about yesterday, yeah. Otherwise, it's just something else. We can talk about effective communication or effective writing, but if we want to talk about stories, it has to be according to our structure here. So we have a little gift for all of you. You want to do that? So we have these little Tall Tales notebooks. This is for you to get started on your writing journey. Yes, of course. You want that one? Sure. And I'll take this one back. Yeah.
I love gifts.
We give them out at our workshops. They're nice recycled paper, handmade in India. So it's really nice.
Can I have one of each?
Get the ball.
You have to write a story.
Yeah, I guess so.
Exam, right? On board.
Do we have enough?
Sure.
And
We only have to package your creativity.
Don't write a book story on your, this second
One of the most
sacrifice.
mentioned.
It will be very emotional.
Thank you.
فاضية ولا
So thank you all very much. It's so nice to spend the day with you. Very nice to meet everybody. And I hope that you can use some of this material later on. We're going to make most of the slides available to you, especially the ones that had a lot of information on them that can be helpful. If you want to learn more about